Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are ready to bring Jeb and Bob home, and we have way too much TV. Like, way too much TV. We could do a Minmus flyby on our way back, but we don't really have the storage capacity. So I think we'll not do that this flight, because we can't really store... We would lose data from the Science Junior and the Mystery Goo observation. So I think we'll hold off on that. And for right now, we will just go ahead and do a prograde burn sometime around here-ish. And what is that periapsis looking like? Okay. We'll just bring that right on down. That's looking a little bit off. Yeah, we'll go this way a little bit. That is very low. We'll aim for well, we have so much DV. We're going to aim for 20 kilometers. I think there's no real reason to not aim for 20 kilometers. So we'll go ahead and warp to that maneuver. Like, we have 3,800 DV here. I'm not in the slightest concerned. Poodles don't have alternators, do they? Actually, they do. Poodles still have alternators. That's interesting. Not really relevant to us right now, but interesting nevertheless. Okay, so we're going to want to burn this at T-minus 11 seconds. So right about now. And off we go. Excellent. There's our escape velocity. Okay, how's that looking? That is a little too much. So we'll just do a very, very minor retrograde burn here, just to adjust our periapsis up a little bit. I just don't want to be coming in quite that steeply. I mean, we've got so much DV that we can burn off our speed no problem, and we would be able to make that landing, I think, but I just want to bump that up to about 15 kilometers. There we go. That's 5 hours away. That is 5 hours 31, 5 hours 2. Okay, so we're going this way. And off we go. Goodbye, Moon. It was nice knowing you. We'll land on you soon enough. Hello, Kerbal. We are on our way back, with lots of science in tow. We're probably going to need to do some satellite missions after this for cache purposes, though. Get some of these done, you know? That's probably going to be for the best. So right about here, we'll just do a bit of a radial retrograde burn. We'll want to keep our periapsis somewhere around 15 to 20 kilometers. And we'll just bleed off a ridiculous amount of speed with this burn. Something about like this would do. Maybe about 15 kilometers. Oh yeah, that's fine. I'm not concerned about our inclination, which is pretty equatorial, but we're a bit inclined. How inclined are we? 5.5 degrees? Yeah. I'm not concerned about that. So, let's just go ahead and warp to that burn, although let's get oriented first. And we can always do a re-entry burn. I'm not sure if we can salvage this engine or not, but we'll give it a go. So just trying to get a little bit more oriented here. This thing is a little unwieldy. There we go. And we will go ahead and warp forward to this burn. This is an exactly 1 minute burn, so we want to burn at T-minus 30 seconds, and actually that's the reason why it's feeling unwieldy. Jeb was fighting me and trying to take it to retrograde, which we don't currently want. So we'll just take this to T-minus 30 seconds. right about now. Excellent. And we're just going to bleed off a frankly ridiculous amount of speed. We are already in the atmosphere, though, so that was something that I didn't plan on. Luckily, we do have thrust gimbaling, but it is not wanting to hold us here. We're just going to go to surface retrograde, and we're going to call it good. And we're going to bleed off as much speed as we can as we descend. Yeah, I was expecting that this would still be out of the atmosphere. But I guess we were aiming for 20 kilometers rather than, like, 30. So that makes sense. Regardless, we are completely fine speed-wise. Our thrust to weight on this is basically 2, so yeah, we're completely fine speed-wise. I'm hoping that we can recover this stage. And to that end, I should probably do that. There we go. We're going to be splashing down in water, which is always nice. How much time do we have left to burn? 50 seconds? Okay. I can work with that. It's mostly the hardware I'm interested in bringing back. The fuel itself isn't all that interesting. The drogue chutes actually wouldn't deploy yet because of the pressure, I believe. Yeah, the min pressure. Okay, sounds good. And we'll just be able to do a little bit of burning in a little bit. Are we still going to be over shores when we're going slow enough for Bob to hop out an EVA report? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, main chutes are out. We're still over shores, which is a good sign. Our horizontal speed is nearly gone. We can turn SAS off at this point. And our thrust to weight is probably plummeting right now. Yeah, it is. As expected. We're still moving reasonably quickly, but I just want to... Actually, we can physics warp forward a little bit. Our chutes will start deploying now. Excellent. That brought us down below 100 meters per second. Unfortunately, we are over Kerbin's water now, rather than over the shores, but that's okay. Main chutes will deploy now, bringing us to 10 meters per second. What's our thrust to weight looking like? Very, very low. We may not be able to save these engines. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and warp down to about... Well, actually, we're moving at 9 meters per second right now. We might be able to save them. We're going to go down to about 150 meters above the surface. About right here. And now we're going to burn. Oh, actually, we're going to have to go a little lower. I wasn't expecting it to be that efficient of a, or that effective of a burn. So we're going to burn at 50 meters. Okay. And here we are. Fantastic. Nothing to be had here, so we can just recover this. And we actually managed to recover this stage. That's nice. A little bit extra money coming back. $406.5 science for that flight. I like it a lot. But yeah, our funding is definitely on the low side. Let's see what we've got available here. Plant flag on the moon, science data from surface of the moon. Both of those are going to be necessary. So we'll grab both of those. That put us up to 250k. That said, we are going to need to upgrade our R&D soon enough, which is 500k. We're going to need landing if we're going to land on the surface of the moon. And honestly, we can almost grab all of these. I think this one for fairings is going to be important. We should probably grab this one for the experiment control station, as well as access to the cargo storage unit. And the GUA-BD monitor. Excellent. And the other sizes of nose cones. Does this have the large nose cone? It does not. Okay. Well, we'll grab it anyway. And then we're only 47.7 away from maxing out our science for our current level of upgrade. Not bad. Okay, so as far as our contracts go, we do have 4 satellite missions to get done. No, just 3. And then landing on the moon, which we have 4 contracts to do. No, what am I talking about? We have 3 contracts for each. Apparently I can't count. Wonderful. I'm exactly the type of person you want running your space program. Someone who can't count. That's perfect. Okay, so we're... Honestly, the Griffin 3X is... The lifting solution here is, I'm pretty sure, massively overkill for comsats. So let's go ahead and open up the 2X. This is a much cheaper craft. And we're going to be able to get rid of a lot of this stuff that's on here currently. So we take it off of here and we just ditch all of this. And then we would be putting in a pod, specifically a Protobodyne Octo probably. Let's see, does this have its own reaction wheel? It does. Okay, yep, we'll put in a Protobodyne Octo, and then we'll put in a small rechargeable battery pack on top of that so that it can so that it can continue working while behind the shadows. We'll put on some solar panels so that it can recharge that. And then as far as communications go, we don't yet have access to relay antennas. When do we get those? I'm going to save... Actually, we're going to need to connect this temporarily. And I already saved that as a Griffin 2X, so I guess we overwrote that. But this is going to be the Raven 0X. Okay. And we're not going to launch this. I just want to go look at when we get access to the relay satellites. That's right here. Okay. We may want to actually wait. We may want to wait on the satellites until we have access to the relay antenna. That would also give us the weather analyzer. Let's see, what other ground components are there? Communitron, passive seismometer. And an RTG for the surface. That's fine. We don't really care too much about RTGs. I mean, we're going to have to take several launches up there to place all of our items anyway, right? So that would be theoretically fine. Yeah, I think we're better off to land on the surface of the moon next. So let's go ahead and open up the Griffin 3X again, because we are actually going to need the lifting capacity of the Griffin 3X. Although I do think that this stage is overkill. But that's okay. So we'll go ahead and detach this, and we'll put this on over here. We are going to be basing this off of the Pomegranate Reentry module, because it has a crew capacity of 3, and we're going to need engineers and scientists, or an engineer and a scientist along with this. We'll put in a cargo storage unit, and inside of that, we'll put in a GUOB, an experiment control station, and a photovoltaic panel. How much power does this need? It requires 1 unit of power, as does this. So this is not going to be enough power production. So, I mean, we already knew we were going to have to come back and plant all of these, right? So that's fine. Please do not return to Kerbal ever. I wonder what happens if you do that. We could, in theory, put a second cargo storage unit on here. And inside of that, we could bring 3 more photovoltaic panel setups. Because we are going to need more power there, eventually. There's no doubt about that. And then on top of that, this is getting rather tall, we would put in a experiment storage unit. Down below, we'd put in a science junior. And we would put in a... I really wish we had a better cargo storage unit. Alas, as of right now, we do not. I mean, there are these service modules. Do not open by hand. Oh my. Those are explosive service modules. Sounds spooky. Now we should probably have some level of batteries on this thing. Something like that. And a reaction wheel would be nice too. We can put an advanced inline stabilizer right here. Like that. Okay. And we're going to need some drogue chutes. We'll put on a pair of drogue chutes here. And then a pair of main chutes, as we often do. Right there. And then we'll also put 1 main chute in the nose cone. Like that. Power generation wise, we should not need more than 4 photovoltaic panels. So we'll just do something along the lines of... Actually, I'll mount those a little lower. Something along the lines of that. This is a very, very tall thing, and eventually we'll replace these cargo storage units with something a little bit more inline. Would be nice. Okay, we are going to need a service bay right here. And inside of that service bay, we don't need batteries because we have batteries up top. We do, however, require a barometer, and this does not need to be quad-coupled. We'll put in a barometer right there, and a thermometer right there, and a mystery goo containment unit right there. That'll do. And this is what we're going to be returning, pretty much. Do we have air brakes yet? I don't think so. No, we do not yet have air brakes. Okay. Well, we're obviously going to need a heat shield on this thing, so something along the lines of that should do. And that's going to be what we return right there. So then we would need a TD12 decoupler right here. We'll have to mess with our... staging, of course. This should be plenty of thrust to weight. 1.37. Yeah, that should be fine in theory. Yeah, I think this is okay. So let's just get our staging set up. These are our main chutes here, so these would be our drogue chutes. We get those in there. We are not going to be utilizing the stage component of the pomegranate. Hang on. This is a lander. What am I even doing? This is a lander. So underneath here, we will go ahead and put in a Terrier right here. We're going to have to radially mount all of our fuel tanks. Every single one of them. Because I don't want this thing getting any taller than it already is. So we would radially mount the fuel tanks right about here. Now I would usually have a T400 in this stage, as well as 4 T400s radially mounted out here, like this. But if we just slap in a radially mounted T100 fuel tank here, we'll have the same amount of fuel, but we can't detach quite as efficiently as we would normally be able to. We're going to need to run fuel ducts from here directly into the engine, just like that. And then we will need decouplers with nose cones here, so we'll put TD12 decouplers as well as some aerodynamic nose cones here. And these shouldn't impact the re-entry module, in theory. And then whatever the largest landing legs that we have is, which I believe is the LT1s, we'll place those as far down as possible, something along the lines of this, although it doesn't necessarily look good. It's nice and wide, and that should put us at a nice and low center of gravity. Yeah, and that center of gravity will get even lower, I believe. No, the center of gravity will raise up as the fuel burns out. Regardless, our center of gravity will be around here, which should be fine. Okay, so we'll start those retracted, and then we'll put in a TD12 here, like so, and then we'll attach this thing on. Something along the lines of this. What's our thrust to weight looking like? 1.27. It's a bit spicy, but that should do in theory. Do we have access to anything better than the skipper currently? We don't. We don't have access to the mainsail right now. Okay. Although, we could maybe upgrade from kickbacks to pollexes. They cost 6,000, so it's a pretty sizable upgrade in terms of cost. So we'd place it somewhere around there, although that's not exactly where I want it to be. Something like here. I mean, we're going to need to move it down a little bit, maybe. What does that do to this thrust to weight? That's the question. 1.55. It's not bad. Our aerodynamics are actually fine as is. So we could then, in theory, put in an aerodynamic... Actually, we'd need a slightly larger aerodynamic nose cone. And actually, we can put in nose cones over here now. That's a thing we can do. We need a slightly smaller one than this. What are you? Are you the right size? Yeah, you're the right size. Not the right color scheme, but it's awkward looking. There's no doubt about that. We could maybe rotate these to be inward. Actually, these are not really skewed. They just look weird. Okay. So do something like that. But I'm actually going to take these off of here for now. I want to use the place tool. There we go. Because I want these to be these radial decouplers here. I want to have a little bit more space, and if we're going to have to attach them that high, I want the radial decoupler up here, although it won't attach there. It would, in theory, attach up here, which should, I think, be okay. We can then move these down like this. And that should, in theory, be fine, although I'm going to move this whole assembly a little bit further down to about right here. Then we could, in theory, move these to about there. That will do. So we'll need to strut that together. I've actually never used this part before. We'll just strut that in down over here, although this should not be bi-coupled. We should quad-couple this strutting. Like that. Apparently it got confused about quad-coupling this. And it messed up this strut right here. Okay. Ah, I see. It keeps switching over to bi-coupling. So I guess we'll have to do this manually one at a time. So one there, One there. One there. And one there. Perfect. So what's our thrust to weight looking like? Well, our staging is wrong, so we're going to have to fix that. We'd want to do something like that. There we go. Our thrust to weight is 1.55, which should be more than sufficient. We've got these solid rocket motors. That should be fine as well. They then detach off. And we have our secondary engines over here. I'm wondering if maybe we want to just quad-couple these. What's the burn time on that? 74 seconds? I don't know, maybe having extra control on these is better. They'll last for another 30 seconds longer. And then we detach off... not that. We don't detach that. We detach off our side there, and then we detach our main core and fire our poodle. And none of these other things happen. Actually, at that point, detaching these nose cones would be fine. But detaching this is not fine. So then we fire our landing stage and then immediately detach it. We should probably not do that. We should probably detach that at about the same time as we detach off the fuel tanks for it. And then our drogue chutes would fire here, followed by our main chutes. Okay, that looks good. This is the Griffin 3L. We'll save that. It is, however, time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we are headed to the moon. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.